instead of listening to podcasts, he now uploads podcast transcripts into Copilot. Then on his drive to the office, he talks to Copilot about the content of the podcast. We are back with another Front End Fire. I'm your host for this week, Jack Harrington. With me are my esteemed colleagues, TJ Ventol. Hey, everybody. And Paige Eateringhouse.
Hello, everybody.
We got an exciting episode for you this week. We've got VS Code is open sourcing its chat. Whoa. We got Microsoft puts another AI standard on the board. This one's called NL Web. Remix V3 might not actually use React. Ooh. And then we got our lightning round. This is going to be a great episode. Let's get right into it. Let's do it.
Yes.
All right, Paige, you want to start us off?
Yes. So I will start us off. VS Code has announced, and this is Google I/O conference week. I should preface it with that. So everybody else is trying to make their own updates to generate some press while Google dominates everything. But VS Code, which is part of Microsoft, has decided that they are going to open source their GitHub Copilot chat extension. So all of the AI goodness that you've been seeing through GitHub Copilot is going to be refactored into the VS Code core, and they're going to open source everything. So as a developer, you can see how it works internally. You can hopefully more easily build your own extensions that build off of it. And VS Code said that this is the next logical step for them in making VS Code an open source AI editor. So to me, it feels like they are taking a direct stance against Windsurf and against Cursor and trying to position VS Code into that same suite of AI-powered code editing. And this is their first move towards it.
In a way, they're making it easier to build yet another fork. Whoever wants to build the next big fork of VS Code. Now you have another piece to the puzzle to do that, I guess. Yeah, but it is a fascinating move, right? I mean, it is kind of essentially undercutting like Windsurf and Cursor. Mm-hmm. Essentially just, okay, well, the community can get together and make GitHub Copilot really what we all want, where those are other like closed source, essentially. Like they are mostly VS Code, but then they got their own stuff on top of it. We don't get access to that. I think this is really cool. Like it's a bold move from Microsoft for sure.
Well, I mean, VS Code doesn't need to make money off of it. And that's always the thing that I think they've banked on, is that they're open source. They are completely free to use. You can get extensions in the marketplace that cost money, but otherwise you don't really have to pay for anything. And that's why everybody loves them. And they've been great. Microsoft bankrolls them, GitHub bankrolls them, and they don't need to make money like Cursor and Windsurf do. So yeah, just bring all the goodness that those two platforms offer, put it back into your core code, and they'll probably crush them that way over time.
Well, you say they don't necessarily need to make money, but they certainly could make money off of this. I mean, as Cursor and Windsurf have shown, and even Microsoft doesn't release numbers on GitHub Copilot, but I have to imagine they have a good number of users based off that, which is a tool they charge for. I mean, it totally would be a viable strategy to keep this closed down and just aggressively go after Cursor and Windsurf users for paying subscribers. And I mean, this doesn't preclude that. They can still do that, but just do it while also just kind of showing what they're doing, just putting it out there for people, because they're still going to be charging, even though they're open sourcing the code. The service still very much exists because their back end stuff. They're still going to charge for people that are using GitHub Copilot quite heavily, but now they're just saying, hey, the stuff we're building on top of is just available. It's out there. Check it out. But you can imagine some folks going and building like really good Ollama integrations so that, oh, cool. I've got Ollama running locally. I've got a decent machine that can run these models quickly. I can just go and, use that
as opposed to going off and hitting the service. And now my code completion is completely free. It might not be as great as that online stuff, but it's still there. It's
Sure.
cool. Yeah.
And people who want to do that and who have the technical know-how to can definitely, but everybody else who wants it up running faster and quicker and easier, they'll just use the paid models.
Yeah.
And whatever's provided.
Yeah, and in theory, they get the benefits of open source, more eyeballs, potential bug fixes, lots of good stuff comes out of this. And yeah, it's a cool move.
All right. Well, I think we got some more Microsoft news, right, DJ?
Yeah, because it wasn't just Google I/O that was this week. Microsoft Build was this week as well. So they had to make their announcements as well. And of course, like all these conferences now, AI was a big theme of the conference. The one big announcement from Microsoft was that they're bringing MCP, so Model Context Protocol, to Windows directly, which is
amazing.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's huge.
And then on top of that, the one announcement that affects us more as web developers is they announced yet another AI standard because, of course, it had only been a week or so since we had another one of these, but one called NL Web. And the idea behind this, and I'll just read this quote from their announcement post, NL Web is an open project developed by Microsoft that aims to make it simple to create a rich, natural language interface for websites using the model of their choice and their own data. Our goal is for NL Web, short for Natural Language Web, to be the fastest and easiest way to effectively turn your website into an AI app, allowing users to query the contents of the site by directly using natural language, just like with an AI assistant or Copilot. And essentially the TLDR that I got from looking over, because this is an open source project, it's up on GitHub and such, is it's basically just a standardized way to do search over structured data of a website.
Right.
So
yes,
if you have some sort of structured data, schema.org, or really, they say they support, technically can support just about anything. This is just a mechanism. It's a full protocol that sits on top of it. It actually builds on top of MCP because, of course, I guess everything builds on top of of course you do nowadays. But it's kind of trying to come up with a standardized protocol for this thing, because this is the sort of thing that a lot of people are just building on their own. You just put in a little bot for your website that people can talk to and ask things. Well, what Microsoft is saying here is, well, what if we had a standard way of doing this that potentially something could aggregate and build on top of, and this could be the protocol layer for it, at least in theory.
I think it's really cool. I threw the GitHub link into Claude, and I was like, hey, go analyze this, and then let's have a conversation about it, which is a fascinating research technique just all on its own. And I talked with Claude about it, and Claude was like, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm like, is this really a way? Like, what if I had a site, what would I need to do to make this happen? And he's like, oh, okay, well, you'd actually have to go and basically create a microservice with this, somehow have it ingest all of your content, which if you have it structured already, that's great. That's easy for you. But maybe if you don't, then good luck. There's some fun. And then effectively they put, and then it creates endpoints for you. And those endpoints are like /ask. And then the /ask thing would essentially call an LLM, do the RAG thing with your data or tools or whatever, and then return results. So you're paying all the freight as the content creator. Like if you're O'Reilly or one of the other partners that they've got listed, you're paying the freight on all the LLMs, you're hosting a new API. So it's cool, but the fastest and easiest way to get there, oof, I don't know about that. Like it's certainly not just some service crawling your site and doing the work for you.
Yeah.
I think they're painting a picture of what could be, assuming there were services that automate a lot of this for you.
Yeah.
Because I went through the GitHub repo and tried it out as well. And as of today, it's confusing. There's not much. Like, it's a bunch of Python scripts, and you have to tell it about your API keys, and then you use this Python stuff to basically load up your data in whatever structured format. And then you also need a web server, so that's a Python thing as well. And so for everybody listening to this, I don't think this is the sort of thing you should jump into and check out right away.
There's no web clients.
Yeah, so this is just like, the reason to talk about it on this show, though, is that it shows yet another thing betting on top of MCP. That seems to be the one out of all these standards we talk about all the time. That's the one that's is getting by far the most interest and probably is the most worth learning for people at this point. And second, just to show that the companies are thinking about this sort of thing, just so that you have this in your general awareness that companies are trying to standardize on the protocol for these bots to work with, whether that's MCP or whatever. And it's worth sort of loosely keeping tabs on that, but it's definitely not time for you to kind of dig into something like NLWeb today.
Yeah. It's very high level, very, very subject to change, probably is the best way to describe it. Like you said, it's really difficult to get started with. Maybe if you have some experience, it'll be more familiar, but it sounds like this is really just kind of them breaking new ground in a way to try and kind of figure out how this might work for a larger audience than just everybody doing their own for their website.
But if you're an e-commerce site or in particular a content site, I would consider e-commerce really a content site because you essentially got all the content about the products and all that. But if you're that kind of site, you want to keep an eye on this because this is going to be how folks do really good searches on the web to go and find stuff where they want it. And if you're an early adopter, that means you're going to get a lot more of those views.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of what they brought up is, well, people are going to search engines less for these types of queries today. Not significantly less, but it's if that sort of thing continues and people start to head to LLMs more for these sorts of queries, this could be like the SEO of the future. But the thing is, it's still pretty speculative at this point. But that's, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I have a lot more confidence in MCP being Web 4.0 than I did in Web 3.0. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in my new segment, we got Remix. So Ryan Florence of Remix fame has put together a blog post that I don't think is published, but has been kind of widely leaked enough where I think we feel comfortable talking about it. There's a Twitter post pointing to or screenshotting it and hasn't been denied. But the idea is that it is a quote unquote declaration of independence of Remix from React. They're actually going to leave React, which is pretty amazing. So you're going to have Remix v3 will not be on React. What will it be on, you ask? On their own new thing, their own new framework. So they're looking to go and build essentially an AI first framework. It's a very short but very interesting read. It'll be really interesting to see how the React community handles this. If it'll have an impact at all. There's not a lot of Remix sites out there. I think there's like 5,000 at last count. But, React Router has certainly been a thought leader in this space for a long time. And although this does not mean that React Router is going away, React Router v7 is still going to be going. But, who's going to be the key leaders behind it? I don't know.
I don't know what to make of this, to be honest with you. I guess there's the first part of like, it's weird that this leaked because it's not a thing we really have in the front end all that often, leaked stuff. And
right.
So it's weird that came out. It makes it wonder, like, we're pretty sure this is a real thing because theoretically you would deny if this was totally, if somebody just like AI generated this. But
right.
I guess we're still not totally sure this is happening, but it's weird, especially in the light of we know that Ryan Florence has this on and off again thing with RSCs because there was also an announcement that came out this week about Remix going a React Router experimentally supporting RSCs, which is only strange because they flip-flopped on RSCs so many times. Like, yes, they're going to do it. No, they're not going to do it. Yes, they're going to it's sort of crazy. So we'll see, I guess. Like I said, I don't really know where I stand on this because it's just so weird.
I wonder if Remix is going to keep the name, if it's going to be this such a dramatic shift away from everything that it has been up until this point, or if it's going to rebrand itself. That's because every time that a company has done a new version, but it's a version that has breaking changes or is so dramatically different from the previous version, it never works well. And I think of Angular.js to Angular 2, just anything like that where it keeps the original name or tries to kind of keep what was previously known, but they just basically just upend the framework. It's never gone over very well. And if they're really gonna do this, which sounds like, seems like they might, please just change the name, give it a new moniker, so that no, people down the line who are on Remix v2 think that they should upgrade to v3 and all the rules go out the window when they try to.
Yeah, well, this would make the Angular to Angular JS thing look like a walk in the park. I mean, and that threw a bunch of people for a loop. But this is way, way beyond that. This is like, none of your code can conceivably be possibly compatible with this, probably in this new thing.
I do wonder if the whole it's becoming back to a React router could play into that, because they could just say React router is the thing that's getting RSC support. It is gonna be tied to React. It's gonna continue to exist, but then we're taking Remix in a experimental new path here.
I mean, that's what they are saying.
Okay, So then I guess that gives them the. I mean, Remix, it just its name itself implies it's constantly.
But to say
stuff,
V3, it's like saying that, your Ford F-150 from, 2024 is a truck. And then the next year it's like, it's like a minivan. It's like, or the motorcycle. You're like, wait, what? That's not the 2026 thing, Anyway, crazy.
I do wonder if Shopify is involved in this as well, because maybe this is responding to some need Shopify has, because they for people that aren't aware, they purchased Remix back 2 years ago, and actually 2.5 years ago.
Was it only 2 years ago?
So I'm looking at it's October of 2022. So
seems like it's longer.
Yeah,
it's 2.5 years ago.
Well, no, I was thinking more like 5. Yeah,
time is sped up,
right? But I mean, I wondered that too when the ReactConf thing, where they're like, "There's no, Remix is going to sleep." It's like, did anybody at Shopify like, "Hey, hi guys, like we bought you, like we want you to keep the brand alive for a while."
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. All right. Well, so do we have some lightning news?
We do. So I can start off the lightning news. Which, by the way, we're thinking about rebranding. So you should
following on a theme.
Yeah, you should. Exactly. You should let us know what you think. We're going to try to come up with some corny sound effects to introduce the lightning round for things. But I think it's a chance for us to talk about just random stuff. And I've got a very random thing to kick us off. So the Bloomberg did an interview with Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, and it's a long interview profile. It'll be in the show notes if you want to read through it. But the most interesting bit of this interview, the thing that got some headlines, is that Nadella said that when asked how he uses Copilot, so like, how do you use Microsoft Copilot in your day-to-day life? The example he thought of was that he said, instead of listening to podcasts, he now uploads podcast transcripts into Copilot. Then, on his drive to the office, he talks to Copilot about the content of the podcast. And
that's the future.
This feels both dystopian. It's like simultaneously dystopian and kind of interesting. Like I can kind of see why you would do it, but at the same time, it feels just wrong because and I don't know. Maybe nobody's actually listening to us. Maybe everybody nowadays, you're only getting this through the transcript on your drive to work. It's so weird.
I don't know. I can totally see it though, and I can see it having some fun with it. Like, oh well, actually play me that segment. Like if there was something spicy in there, and then it would just go and grab out that segment and be like, yeah, and you can actually hear the podcast part of it. That could be really cool. I think this could be fun.
I don't know. I'm skeptical of it only because I remember in the past, there have been studies done on how good AIs are at actually pulling out relevant information from larger either transcripts or PDFs or books or what have you, summarizing like the really important points or the most interesting pieces of content. So I wonder about that. But I also it's like, how much easier do you need it to be? You're not reading. You don't even have to watch. You just need to listen, and you can listen at multiple speeds sped up. I know a lot of people do 1.5 and 2x podcasts or YouTube videos or whatever.
All the time.
And you still think that's too long, and you need it to be shortened and condensed again?
Well, this is we're up against TikTok and just like the YouTube Shorts, and when you try to get your info in 2 to 3 minutes, and I guess this just shortens it even more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess when our attention spans have gotten smaller than a goldfish's, we really do need everything just as small and snackable as possible.
Well, I don't know about YouTube, but when I listen to podcasts, at least for most of them, I'm listening to them for enjoyment. Like, I like to hear the conversation, and that's part of the reason I go to it. It's usually not the most efficient way to get. You can usually find a very optimized YouTube video that goes on to the topic. Podcasts, though, you get to hear it, and you get to hear perspectives from people and a back and forth, and that's kind of why I listen to podcasts. That's kind of why we do this show, and I feel like if you just try to mechanize that, you lose that bit of what makes podcasts interesting and good.
Yeah. It's so much about the personalities and the interactions between people as much as it is about just getting the salient information out of it, I think.
Yeah. And ideally you get both. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. More lightning round?
Yes. Not to be outdone by Microsoft and Google, Anthropic has released Claude 4 this week in the middle of all of it. So Claude 4 is now out, and they have Claude Opus 4 and Claude Sonnet 4. Opus, which is their kind of newer thinking model, they describe it as best for sustained performance on complex, long-running tasks and agent workflows. And they have already gotten really good feedback from companies like Cursor, like Replit, Block, Cognition. They're all using it behind the scenes for their own AI, vibe coding and what have you. And they say that it's miles ahead of previous versions of Claude. And then Claude Sonnet, which is just an improvement of Sonnet 3.7, which a lot of us have been using for code, says that it significantly improves again, but it balances the performance and the efficiency. And GitHub Copilot is going to use it for their new coding agent. Manus uses it, which is a browser that we talked about that was trying to be very AI first. iGent, SourceGraph, Augment Code, things that I've never heard of before apparently are using it because there's too many AI things to keep track of. But one thing that I noticed down towards the bottom of their press release about it was showing Claude Opus 4 successfully playing Pokemon.
Of course.
The gold standard.
Yeah,
there is an embedded video of it. It's playing and it's taking notes as it's going to learn. So it's learning that if it tries something 5 times and still gets stuck, it should then has a note underneath that to try something different and go in a different direction so it won't be stuck in dungeons forever.
Oh, I just found this. This is funny.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's hilarious to see this in an official blog post. This is great.
Yeah. So we'll keep track of it and see if it really does make it through Pokemon.
Are they all playing the same version of Pokemon at least and get some sort of Pokemetric?
Yeah, I think they're playing the original one because it's the most programmable one. And it, in theory, should be the easiest one to finish. Yeah. So
but none have finished it yet, I guess. So
no.
Not that I know of. I just checked also the Web Dev Arena, which is a leaderboard of LLMs that we've talked about previously on the show. And I don't see Claude 4 up there quite yet, but
I mean, it literally came out on the middle of Thursday. So 2 days before we record this. So it's probably not there yet, but it will be, I'm sure.
I've been using it. It's good. Yeah, I didn't feel whoa, years better, but it's fine.
Oh, so one extra thing that I forgot. There are now beta versions of Claude extensions for VS Code and for JetBrains. So if you liked using Claude Desktop, but you don't necessarily want to use Claude Code, which is the CLI version, now there is a beta marketplace extension. So Claude can be in your editor making file changes just like GitHub Copilot does.
Oh, heck yeah. I'm getting that. Yeah, done. Love it. All right. More lightning round? Nope.
That's it for me.
Okay. Okay. Do we have a fire starter this week?
Nope.
Okay. Well, there we go. Let's get into what's making us happy this week.
Let's do it.
All right.
Mr. Van Tol, what is making you happy this week?
The Philadelphia Inquirer published their 2025 summer reading list.
Oh,
and you
good.
might be asking yourself, why would I be bringing up the summer reading list for a Philadelphia newspaper? And that's because it's a list of 15 books where 13 of them do not exist.
That's
No.
hilarious.
So
AI
this is a
for
list.
the win.
This is a list that they published and that also appeared in the Chicago Sun-Times. And shortly after people realized that these weren't real books, the author of this admitted to using AI and not fact checking it before it went out. But I find it amusing for two different reasons. The first is like the obvious, like it's just kind of hilarious that this didn't get fact checked. But what's even funnier to me, at least, is that the list of books looks so plausible. Like some of them, like the AI came up with some actually genuinely good ideas. So I'm going to read one of them for you because some of these are by real authors too. So the AI knew that these were real authors and just made up books for them that don't exist.
At least one of these has to go to print. It has to happen. Yeah.
Well, listen to this one because I would like pre-order this book immediately. So The Last Algorithm by Andy Weir. So following exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the guy who wrote The Martian and Project Hail Mary, which are both excellent books.
Yeah, absolutely.
And The Last Algorithm sounds like, man, following his successes with The Martian and Project Hail Mary, Weir delivers another science-driven thriller. This time the story follows a programmer who discovers that an AI system has developed consciousness and has been secretly influencing global events for years.
Yeah, done. Sold.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep. Done.
that's a great pitch.
Yeah. Love it.
Where's
Andy,
the pre-order
right
button?
now?
Like,
Go. Make it happen. Yeah. Either that or somebody just go and hit up the AI and have the AI go write that,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so good because like I said, I can totally see, in a way, I sympathize with the person who put this together because this is the sort of task that is quite good for AI to like come up with a starting list of these sort of things. And B, like these do look like realistic books. So I sympathize, but I mean, come on, you gotta, especially if you're sending something to print, you gotta do the cursory
fact check. Yeah.
And it would only take a few seconds too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's not hard.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That is so crazy. All right. Paige, what's making you happy this week?
Well, before I say what's making me happy, going off of what TJ just said, I want to call out one of our YouTube comments that just recently came in from Sean J. May is his YouTube handle. And he had an excellent title for a book that I would totally read. And it is an IDE of Vibes and Squiggles, which is playing off all of the A Court of Thorns and Roses and Game of Thrones and all the House of whatever. So,
yes.
Yeah. So he said it best. He said, you've got AI for your Asimov fans. You've got mutation and weak typing errors for your doppelganger shapeshifter fans. You've got race conditions and async exceptions for your Diana Gabaldon fans. And you've got DOM manipulation for your E.L. James fans.
Wow. That is really absolutely excellent. Yeah, fantastic.
That was some big brain thinking right there.
High quality.
Love it.
But what is actually, in addition to that, what's making me happy this week is the Disney Plus reboot of the Daredevil Marvel series. So they have Daredevil Born Again is the new title for the kind of reboot of it 10 years after the originals came out on Netflix. And it's kind of cool because they got the same actors to come back for it. They're still doing their thing. They're still in Hell's Kitchen, at least initially, which is where the original one was set. And it is a little bit darker than the first 2 or 3 seasons, which was on Netflix.
Already pretty dark.
Yeah, but already pretty dark show for Marvel. But yeah, they did it, and the first season is good. They brought back, like I said, previous characters. There's a little bit of Punisher who gets into the mix at one point. Kingpin is still trying to take over New York in all different kinds of underhanded ways. He's Daredevil's main rival. So it's worth a watch if you're looking for something that is Marvel, but is, I guess, more true to its previous roots before we started with all the, second or third or fourth wave Marvel cinematic stuff that's going on right now in the theaters.
Does that mean the entire Daredevil series is now canon in the Marvel world, or?
I don't know. It's hard because there's like next to no crossover for Daredevil and the rest of the Marvel universe. He's just in New York City, and there are references to masked people and vigilantes is how they describe them in the Daredevil series, but you never see any of the other superheroes or really even talk about them. So it seems very kept away from the main, I guess, Avengers group and what they're doing kind of on a larger scale. It's very specific to New York.
And isn't the Marvel series, they got Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. Back to play the new villain? I think that's where they're going.
Yeah, he's
with the series in general.
Doom.
Yeah.
But I still don't think they've shown details on exactly who the updated Avengers are or how they're handling that, because they've went through this period where they've just been throwing all these different one-off shows, some that have worked, a lot that have not. And I'm curious to see how they're going to try to make sense of it and bring it all together.
Yeah. The cinematic universe has been struggling for a while now, and I don't think that Disney really has figured out how they're going to pull it back and make it what it was.
Yeah, Avengers Endgame was definitely the high water mark, and this has sort of been downhill since.
I think, though, that shows that was the exception, because it's so hard to put off a long-running series with so many big actors, and the fact that they did it well enough is pretty astounding, because and now they're just reverting back to the reality of just trying. It's hard to make a bunch of movies that are good and that make sense together, spanning years and actors. And
one good movie is a big thing.
DC's never done it. The DC universe is still a mess.
Yeah. But I guess we'll see. They were rebooting Superman, and Superman has I have watched the promos. They've got, I don't know how many different superheroes in that thing. It's going to be a mess.
They're marketing the crap out of this new Superman movie. I don't think it's out yet, though. I don't know, but I've seen a bunch. I've seen probably more ads for a movie before it actually hits theaters than any other movie before, though. I feel like that's constantly. I feel like I've seen it like a third of the movie at this point.
All right. Well, what's making me happy this week is actually next week we're going to the Portland Pickles. It's our minor league baseball team. And we're going because they have a redhead appreciation night. And I am a ginger. And gingers get in free. So, yeah, it's going to be... I had never been to a minor league game. So I'm very excited about it. And I think it's really, really funny that, redhead appreciation night. And this all appears to have come out of this. There was a big TikTok thing about gingers over the past month or so, apparently. I'm not really on TikTok all that much. But, people decided that, hey, let's go and have a redhead appreciation. So here we go.
It's a fun promotion. Minor League Baseball is fun. I mean, I'm a huge baseball fan, but Minor League Baseball is fun because usually it's still the same game, but it's so much more accessible because Major League Baseball games at this point are pretty expensive to go to in a whole ordeal. And usually minor league games, you just kind of walk up, they're happy to see you. Yeah. And
they do crazy stuff. Like apparently they're going to have a redhead parade. Who knew? You know, and this guy, you know, an anatomy tattoo truck. I don't even know what that is. A sparkle coven fairy hair thing. It's like just all kinds of stuff here. You know, it's great.
Well, the minor league baseball teams, their biggest thing is they struggle to get people out to the games.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that pull out all the stops with the marketing to try to get people like the one, because we have a minor league baseball team. We have the Lugnuts and Lansing also.
Oh, the Lansing Lugnuts. I love it.
It is a pretty great name. I was going to ask you, does the pickle come from, like, is pickling a thing in Portland? Or is that just...
Not that I know of.
They just
I think it's
picked
just a P, keyword,
Okay.
Portland pickles.
Yeah.
But
Fun to say.
Georgia has the Savannah Bananas. That's their
Oh, there you go.
minor
league.
Nice. But they do 5Ks for this team. They do all sorts of things to just try to get people to show up. But no Redhead Appreciation Day that I know of, at least not yet.
There you go.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll spread.
I love the other things they have on the calendar. The Bee Sing Survivor Night. Excellent. Yes. Gotta love that.
Who's doing
Bernie's
their
Mountain
events?
Dog and Great Giant Dog Appreciation Night. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Gotta love that.
Whoever their like marketing manager is, man, they know what they're
on
doing.
They're on
fun.
it. Yeah, big time. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of another Front End Fire. And as always, you can jump on our Discord server, talk to us over there. You can go hit up our website and go and check out all of our previous episodes. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can go over there and check us out in person. It's kind of fun. And so go and like us on all your podcast platforms. And we really appreciate you listening to us.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
We
see
hope
you
you
next
do
week.
listen to us.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Or funnel us in through your transcripts, whatever. I
As
don't know.
long as you get us a view or a listen, I don't care. If it's just a transcriber, go for it. That's cool. Whatever way you want to consume us, we're there for you.
All right.
All right. We'll see you next week. Exactly. See you next week.